Alright, so Adventure Time Distant Lands Obsidian happened and broke the internet to an extent. So right now I'm just going to talk about it. I wrote a bunch of notes down, so I'm just going to follow along with that. This won't really be a comprehensive review. I'll probably still give it a rating, but I have only watched it a single time. This is definitely a special that is worthy of being watched multiple times. And like we did with BMO as well, my friends and I, who are, all big Adventure Time fans, will get together and do like a little group podcast style review for this episode as well. And of course, I'm going to be talking about spoilers, and I assume anybody who's interested in seeing this special has probably already seen it. So that's fine, but if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's best, of course, to watch it on HBO Max, but HBO Max is not being advertised properly, and it's only available in the United States. Is it in North America, or is it in only the United States? My brain's telling me only the United States, which is really dumb. But anyways, yeah, I think it's fair to say that this is like one of the best things to come out of this entire show, which is saying a lot because it's like a 280 episode long show or something. Sort of the way this episode has been described and teased throughout the past year. I was really expecting it to be super hyper focused on Marcy and PB's relationship to the degree that 80% of the episode would be flashbacks of them together, and we'd like see how they met, see them in love, see them break up, see them slowly get back together and things like that. It uses the Glass Kingdom as a caveat to like give an excuse for them to explain these backstory stuff, but that wasn't the case like at all. We get 2 flashbacks about Marcy and PB, which is certainly not what I expected, but it's very Adventure Time the way they did this, which is a good thing. It's more satisfying that way, I guess, because we really only see the breakup. Like, that's kind of the big flashback that we get. And there's enough stuff in that scene for us to easily pull, the vibe of why they grew apart and stuff. We don't really have to see that. That's just so good, because aren't we all a little sick of like romantic drama type stuff? Like this episode, where's my notes about this? Hang on a sec. This episode goes all in, really, in a way that like I wasn't expecting it to. It's about Marceline's personal struggle and her anxiety about whether or not she's like lovable, if she's a monster. It's not like Marceline's shy because she has a little crush on PB, but they misunderstand each other, anything like that. There's nothing subtle about this at all. Like, PB and Marcy are just domestically in love together, and that's that, and it's amazing. It's super refreshing, real, casual, and satisfying. We don't always need to see these stories about struggles or metaphors for relationships like this. It's just great to see a story of people happily together, and it's handled really well here. Marceline's sort of evolving, but she's evolving very much in like a personal way. The modern version of PB, there's no like drama there. It's all kind of misunderstanding on Marceline's part, which is, again, like a personal story compared to like a explicit romantic drama like I was sort of expecting from this, but very pleasantly we got what we got, and it's better. The episode's just very adult in a nice, satisfying way. In sort of a way that nothing else like Adventure Time is, because if somebody's not familiar with Adventure Time and they look at a screenshot from this episode, they're going to be like, why are they, like, what are these are stick figures? Where I don't understand. The actual substance of the show is incredible, and the substance in this episode is pretty, like, raw. What jumps out to me, just because I watched so many cartoons, Marceline's mom, like, gradually dying, like, that's a really, really graphic thing to show, and she coughs up blood into her hand. We've seen cartoon nosebleeds somewhat recently in modern cartoons, but I mean, a dying, sickly older woman coughing blood into her hand and hiding it from her daughter is like a billion times darker than a freaking nosebleed that Gravity Falls and Steven Universe have given us. And just, again, the personal drama for Marceline that's here is really raw and mature, and you love to see it. That's what I wrote in my notes. You love to see it. Because again, like, yeah, there's metaphors here, but there's metaphors like in a good way. They're not hiding this truth that Bubbline is a thing. It's just that's just the episode. Marceline and PB are in love, and they're living together, and they're working on bettering themselves, and that's that. They kiss, they hold hands, all that stuff, and they don't need to hide it anymore, and that's just fantastic. And Adventure Time has always been like mature and had really philosophical, almost random sometimes episodes that hit you really hard for no reason. Just something about the way this episode, and I assume the remainder of these Distant Lands episodes and even the BMO episode included, even though like BMO's definitely goofier than this one is. Adventure Time's always been like that, but something about the updated art style, and it seems like there's a higher budget for these, but maybe that's just because there's new artists, so like it's just noticeably different and cleaner and stuff. But like, you know, there's new artists, there's new writers, and these episodes are able to be longer. It just makes Distant Lands feel so satisfying, like a perfect evolution of Adventure Time's already apparent greatness. This is our equivalent to Steven Universe Future, and it feels meaningful to me because I'm more attached to this show than I was Steven. Plus, we had to wait a few years for Distant Lands to happen, so like it very realistically feels like time has passed for these characters because it has for us in real life. And again, seeing the updates to the art style and everything just makes this feel so significant. Like, this is the closest thing to Adventure Time, the movie, we will probably ever get. And it just, like, it feels that way so much. Maybe it's only 45 minutes, sure, but it feels so well-rounded and complete and incredibly polished, even though I did notice in one shot, Glass Boy didn't have a crack on his head, but he's supposed to have a crack on his head the whole episode. I'm just kidding, but I did notice that, but that doesn't matter. It's just so great. The background art and coloring and everything, particularly in this episode, was amazing. The animation on the goopy dragon was incredible. The sort of varying of art styles, like the background art had a clear different style when it was Marceline's flashbacks when she was younger, like that. I love that. Like, it was really like comic booky, like Tank Girl style, sort of. The other big thing that this episode has that everybody is already aware of now is that Finn shows up and he's noticeably older. We don't know how much older, but lucky for me, this got spoiled by a YouTube thumbnail, so thank you for that. That's my own fault for looking on any social media today, I guess, but I would have had a really big reaction if I didn't see that coming, because there's really nothing to set that expectation. He is like barely there. It's kind of just there as like a sweet little thing, and that's probably foreshadowing the future episode that's going to be about him. But right after I watched this episode, I went on Instagram, and it turns out Cartoon Network themselves just posted the clip of Finn on Instagram. Like, guys, not only is that just straight up from the ending of the episode, like, that's a big surprise aspect of the episode that you should give people a couple of days to see before you use it as the marketing for the episode. Because people were gonna watch it anyways because of several other fantastic things about it. A big reveal like that, you should keep quiet for a few minutes. But yeah, that definitely says to me that we're gonna continue seeing this older Finn and this sort of future you know, I don't, boys, you know, I'm a boy, you change a lot over time, you know, you grow beards very quickly and stuff. Finn was 17 the last time we saw him, so like, you know, this could be like 2 years after series finale or longer. We don't really know. Years ago, I made a video about how nice it was to literally grow up with this show. I could really connect with Finn because he was essentially the same exact age as me for a while, up until the series was ending and he was like stuck between being 16 and 17 for a while. But now he's aged up again, and like, you know, he's probably in his mid-20s or so. That makes him around my age again, which is really satisfying. It just feels right to see this growth, you know? Like, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Like, I don't need to see Finn be young again. We saw enough of that. Like, I want to see where he went, what happened, how he continued to grow up beyond how much growth we got to see in the series. I wouldn't have been disappointed at all if this miniseries was set close to the show's finale, but this way they're pushing the timeline forward feels significant and, well, relatable. The finale for Distant Lands will make me feel old, I'm sure, and probably have me in tears. This show started when I was a passionate, squeaky-voiced kid playing video games and saying made-up slang, and now it's truly ending when I'm a grown, deep-voiced, hairy man. And it's just cool to see that, you know, for me to be able to connect to Finn on that kind of level. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing because I'm only going to grow up once, you know? This is a note, I guess I should have mentioned this earlier when I was talking about the sort of the romance aspect of the episode and stuff, but again, it's just so fantastic to see a quote kid show with such a focus on a romance in this way. We see plenty of romantic drama, usually like very, very kiddie romantic drama, like oh Dipper has a crush on Wendy, but he has to realize that she's older than him. Like okay, that's not really relatable at all, you know? Like that's just a plot. But what's here in Obsidian, this level of like totally domestic, playful, sappy love that's very focused on a personal growth is something I usually turn to anime for. You know, like my favorite types of anime are romantic ones because they give me these sorts of wholesome stories with focuses on drama that's more than just cartoony. Western cartoons just never really go this deep into it, and cartoons especially never focus on older characters. But with Finn being aged up, the moral that was present in the BMO episode, this whole season is really shaping up to be entirely about adulthood. And like I was saying, you know, it's a point in my life where that's a significant thing for me to see because I just got out of college. And just sort of in general, you know, for many fans, it's definitely that same sort of thing. So that basically covers like my main thoughts. Again, I only watched the episode once, so I'll definitely have more comprehensive things to say when I watch it 7 more times maybe. Now I just have like some miscellaneous things that I wrote. I guess first and foremost is that Marceline's song Woke Up, you know, like the breakup song. That's probably my favorite song in this whole entire series. I feel like it's the only song we've ever gotten that's like a real song and it's not interrupted by any jokes. It's not like that kind of like hip-hoppy Adventure Time sound. It's not really that usual like very mellow Adventure Time sound. It's like a punk rock breakup song, you know? And it plays out in a music video sequence without getting cut off or anything. It's like it's a complete song sequence, and I think that's really awesome because we don't get that a lot in this show. It's been stuck in my head all day, and I immediately put it on my Spotify playlist. So thank you for that song. Simon was hilarious. Again, that's something that we should have not had spoiled, but back during Comic-Con they said that Simon was going to be in this, so I ended up having that spoiled for me because I would have liked to avoid that information. They used him like the perfect amount. Of course, he's like my favorite character in the show, so I would have liked to see more of him, but the little cameo he has here and the funny little jokes and stuff he has, like he's very in character. It was just nice to see him, you know? They don't crowd the plot by having him be a main character. He doesn't even come into play in Marcy's backstories, which I was expecting, but I mean, we definitely deserve to see more of her mom in those backstories. The way Simon was climbing into the fridge to cope, like that's probably the best joke of the episode, but I also thought the cool scorpion on top of the cool skeleton was also really funny. Like that was so stupid, but it was hilarious. And speaking of that backstory, I would have liked a little more of Marcy's mom. I'm totally fine with never getting her name. I've seen a few people saying like they wish we had her name. Like I don't care about that really, but I would have liked, even if it was just like 1 or 2 more lines where we got a bit more specification about how she met Hudson, you know, like he's mentioned by Marcy, I think, but like just a little bit more lore there to give a more concrete explanation of like she's a human, right? How'd she end up with the demon? You know, it's like just a little bit more dialogue there would have helped close that book. Because Adventure Time's always going to leave stuff ambiguous, but this was a chance to give us a little less of that ambiguity, but you know, we still got to see her. I'm fine with that. We got to see her in like the most depressing way possible. Like I'm losing my mind that in the drawing predictions video that my friends and I did, I made up a story about Marceline's mom's corpse being shown up, and then Tipsy drew her all covered in blood and spiders and stuff. And I mean, like that kind of happened. And I was like losing my mind that actually sort of happened. Like that's so weird. The animation was awesome. Again, like I said before, it's just a natural evolution, you know? It's clear that a lot of people that they got to be like the new crew for this Distant Lands season are people that were fans of the show, you know, who are people who ended up in the industry because they probably had a few good pieces of Adventure Time art in their portfolios and stuff. It shows, you know, again, this is such a natural evolution of the series. It doesn't feel like it's lost anything. It doesn't feel like they're trying too hard to continue it or anything. It just feels like an awesome upgrade. Before this episode came out, I was thinking that BMO would end up being my favorite of the season just because the aesthetic of Adventure Time's version of space and the surreal creatures and stuff is, like, I love that so much, and I definitely love that more than the Glass Kingdom that we got to see here, you know? We didn't really get to see enough of the Glass Kingdom for it to be that cool. Like, it's pretty, it's a cool concept, but it's not really there. So this episode definitely has a stronger story to me compared to BMO, and it's you know, it's got those awesome musical sequences. I think I like it better than BMO, but in the design department, BMO is still tops this, I think. There was one weird thing about the animation style here though. The abundance of off-model art seemed a little weird to me. This is the kind of thing I never would have noticed if I didn't get involved in the fandom and seen people like both support and despise this sort of aspect of the show, but I think it's done a little too much here. There's scenes where the characters just have really big heads, and it's like it's supposed to be kind of a serious scene. Like the first scene of Marcy and her mom, and they're in that trailer together, Marcy's coloring, like they have like ginormous bobbleheads, and it looks like Marcy is like the size of her mom, like the same height as her mom. That's just a little weird, you know? Like stuff like that should be drawn in a closer to on-model style, I think. But you know, that doesn't really ruin anything at all. I appreciate that they get super expressive and stuff in this episode, so I appreciate a majority of that stuff here, but I felt it was done a little too much, like almost to a degree where they were doing it on purpose because they wanted every shot to look very different or something. That's about all my thoughts that I could think of at the moment. Obviously, I love this episode. If I had to give it a rating, again, after only seeing it once. I don't remember what I gave BMO. So 1 grade higher than BMO, I guess, unless that's an A+. Then I don't think it's an A+ rating because I reserved my A+ rating for like perfection, which, you know, Obsidian isn't perfection. Oh my god, no, like this is absolutely amazing, but you know, I categorize things in a particular way, and ratings don't matter. You know, whatever, who cares? No ratings. At the end of the day, I don't know. Go watch this episode on HBO Max if you can, or you know, just go on Cartoon Network social media, retweet and like and reply to everything they're posting, because they've been posting a lot of clips and music promotions and stuff for this episode. So show them that we love it with some numbers. This is a great episode. That's a great continuation. It's a great closure / further exploration to Marceline and Peepee's relationship that basically never got like a good amount of screen time during the show, like at all. What they do with it here, I'm so surprised that it's so great. The direction that they took, the realism, the sappiness, it's wonderful, and I think a majority of the fans of this series agree. And now I'm just super excited to see where we go from here, because our next episode is Wizard City, which is about Peppermint Butler. That's what the description says, but of course it's definitely going to end up being about Simon or Huntress Wizard or some other slightly more significant character. Or that's rude to say to Peppermint Butler, but you know what I mean. Like, it will be more than just Peppermint Butler, because as these 2 episodes that are out have established, these come with some lore. We didn't really know what to expect when we heard this miniseries was happening, but I think with the 2 episodes we have now, we definitely know what to expect, and we're going to get some sort of big surprise next time, and some sort of strong theme about growing up and evolving. And then our last episode, I'm sure, will make everybody lose their mind, because we'll see Finn. And Jake is okay, all right? I know Finn's got a tattoo of Jake, but that's just because that's Jake's not he's not dead, right? Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to know when I post new videos. Thanks for watching, and super special thanks to my Patreon supporters. Support me on Patreon and you'll be able to submit video topics, see exclusive behind the scenes content, and help me keep this channel going. Also follow me on Twitter and TikTok for special updates.